Welcome back to our System Security Fundamentals series. Today, we dive into part 2, focusing on the critical mechanisms that shield your systems and data from modern, persistent threats. Every digital environment is a fortress, and every fortress requires a gatekeeper. We begin with the foundation of all security: authentication. This is your first and most vital line of defense. It is the process that verifies your identity before a single byte of data is exposed. Think of the modern login sequence. You enter a password, but that is only the beginning. The system demands more. It triggers multi-factor authentication, sending a unique code to a secondary device, or it scans your physical traits through biometrics like facial recognition. These layers of verification happen in milliseconds, yet they represent a massive hurdle for any unauthorized actor attempting to breach your perimeter. When you successfully authenticate, you are not just logging in. You are proving your legitimacy in a world where identity is the most valuable currency. Once the gatekeeper verifies your identity, the challenge shifts from entry to management. This is where authorization takes command. You are now inside the perimeter, but your access must be strictly defined. We implement this through the principle of least privilege. Imagine a system where every user is a specialist, granted only the specific permissions required to perform their current task, nothing more. No unnecessary administrative rights. No broad access to sensitive databases. By restricting privileges to the absolute minimum, you create a series of internal firewalls. If an account is compromised, the damage remains isolated. The attacker finds themselves trapped in a small, low-value zone, unable to move laterally. This is the art of containment. It turns a potential catastrophe into a manageable incident. You are effectively shrinking the blast radius of every single user account. When you enforce these boundaries, you stop trusting users by default and start verifying their necessity at every turn. This strategic restriction is not about hindering productivity. It is about building a resilient architecture that survives even when a single component fails. You are no longer just protecting the front door. You are securing every room inside the house. Even with strict authorization, data remains vulnerable if it is stored in plain text. We must assume that an attacker will eventually bypass the perimeter. To counter this, we turn to encryption. This is the process of scrambling readable data into unreadable code, a digital cipher that turns your most sensitive information into noise. We utilize two primary methods to achieve this. First, symmetric encryption. It uses a single key for both locking and unlocking data, providing incredible speed for high-volume tasks. It is the workhorse of your internal storage. Then, we have asymmetric encryption. This uses a pair of keys, a public key to lock the data and a private key to unlock it. This is the foundation of secure exchanges across the web. Whether your data is at rest on a server or currently in transit across the globe, encryption ensures that even if an interceptor captures the packets, the information remains useless to them. They see only chaos. You have effectively stripped the value from the stolen goods. By mastering these cryptographic standards, you ensure that your data is not just locked behind the gate, but fundamentally unreadable to anyone who lacks the specific key. You are no longer just managing access. You are guaranteeing that your information remains yours alone, regardless of where it travels or how it is stored. The alert sounds, and the reality of a breach hits. The anomaly you were tracking has evolved into an active intrusion. Now, the incident response plan dictates every move. There is no time for hesitation. First, you move to detection, confirming the scope of the compromise. Where did they enter? What have they touched? You isolate the affected systems immediately, severing their connection to the network to prevent lateral movement. This is containment, the act of drawing a line in the digital sand to stop the bleeding. Once the threat is boxed in, the team shifts to remediation. You purge the malicious code, reset compromised credentials, and close the vulnerabilities that allowed the entry in the first place. Every second counts as you stabilize the environment. You are not just fixing errors. You are reclaiming control from an adversary who is actively fighting to maintain their foothold. Finally, you move to recovery, verifying the integrity of your systems before bringing them back online. You test, you validate, and you monitor with heightened scrutiny. The breach is a high-pressure crucible that tests the limits of your security architecture. By following the structured steps of your response plan, you turn a potential catastrophe into a contained event.